What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt Taville with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Manny Robles and Andy Ruiz. Manny Robles, of course, was the trainer that led Andy Ruiz to the pinnacle of his career, okay? It was the biggest fight that he's ever been in with Anthony Joshua, the unified British champion at the time. Manny Robles was the one that guided him to that. And in this article, Manny Robles stated that Andy Ruiz, his future success of being a heavyweight will solely depend on himself, okay? And he also had this to say verbatim concerning it. He says, "I've never had to depend on one boxer. I had a good stable of fighters, and I'm lucky to be able to do what I do, which is coach and be in boxing. I wish Andy nothing but the best. I understand he's now training with Eddie Reynoso. I think that a good choice for Andy Robles, that it is a good choice," he says. "But the bottom line is that it's down to the fighter, and he's got to want it. And again, it's down to accountability. Fighters have to hold themselves accountable. We as coaches get them ready, train them, and prepare them mentally and physically. But if the fighter isn't there, what can we do?" Okay? A fighter has to want it, and Andy has everything to get back into the contention again. I said it before, the June fight with Anthony Joshua, that he had what it took to be able to be champion when no one believed me, and I wasn't wrong. Unfortunately, after June 1st, everything changed, and he was a different person overnight. Now, that's what I want to counterpunch with you guys. And what Manny's saying is, once Andy Ruiz set out to do a particular gold, and he obtained that gold, he was no longer the motivating person that he was. It was like all the chi left Ruiz, but it left him because he did something that people doubted him to do. He done, and after he done it, he was like, I don't have to do anymore, right? I don't have to do anymore. I don't have to train as hard because I've made it. I've done it. I've succeeded. Fuck all you haters, right? That's what he did. And unfortunately, that was his downfall, because he thought, well, I did it this time, and he forgot how he got there. He forgot that he was stone broke after paying out his contract from Bob Arum. He forgot that, hey, I have to train. He forgot that, hey, this is what I need to do. He remembered the things that he needed to do only when he lost after that. Okay? And what Manny Robles is saying, and he's doing exactly what Abel Sanchez has said before. Like Abel Sanchez says, Andy Ruiz has a problem with himself. He has a problem getting motivated. He talks himself out of doing things. And I personally train people at times. And I was actually training a person yesterday. And she complained on everything I wanted to do or wanted her to do. Okay, so she was like, oh, I don't want to do that. I want to do this. No, it's a certain game plan. It's a certain strategy to get you ready. It's not about what you want to do at the particular time. It's about what is best for you. That's why I'm here. That's why those trainers are there. That's why they were there, Manny Robles and Abel Sanchez. And I see what's happening again. These guys are really putting their foot, they're making their statement. Why? Because if something happens to Andy Ruiz, training with Eddie Reynoso, that is not up to par, okay? If Eddie finds out like, hey, I can't fucking train this pendejo, gordo, right? I can't train this dude because he's lazy. Well, they're saying that because they work with that guy. See, understand, Abel Sanchez, Manny Robles, these guys are former associates with Andy Ruiz, okay? They were employers with this man, okay? So they know what his activity, they know who he was and how he was. They know what his tendencies were. They know what his habits were, okay? And they weren't wrong. Like Manny Robles said, if he doesn't show up what the fuck can we do? I can only train him as long as he shows up. Abel Sanchez said something similar. Abel Sanchez said, well, hey, you know what? I've got more than one fighter. I don't have time to be waiting on this guy if he decides to show up late. Right? He said the same thing. I think really what it is, I think Abel Sanchez was more aggressive than Manny Robles. And Robles was a passive fighter. He was just like, hey, whatever. He was a pragmatist about the matter. Shit, if he doesn't show up, okay, I can't train him. I'm not going to badmouth him to the public because people are going to come in. They're going to want to see how the progression of training is going with the new unified Mexican heavyweight champ. And of course, he backed him, he took up for him. He covered it up, right? They had a lot of photos online of Andy Ruiz, and a lot of that shit was photoshopped. This guy came in damn near 300 fucking pounds. 17 pounds had been 300 pounds. That's less than 20 pounds. You know what I mean? When you're all the way up there, that's big. So that lets you know, dude, you could not have been training the way you claim or the way people led you on to be training. Right? So, again, with Manny Robles, he's saying like, hey, it comes down to him. He was like a different person. And he did. That money changed him. The lifestyle changed him. His environment changed with the people around his environment. I think from listening to Abel Sanchez again, a lot of people were already there, messing with him. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people, this is what they do. I think when he went for the Joseph Parker fight, I think there was people in there that were already like, hey, yeah, man, you're going to be the champ. You're going to be the first primero mexicano, campeón del mundo, all that shit, right? And then they came with him, and then they backed him, and then when they lost, they left him. You know what I mean? But, of course, when he was fighting for the WBO, people were riding him because they thought he was winning, or they hoping he was winning, because, of course, they wanted to ride that bandwagon, okay? So I think that those guys were there. I think that those guys, after he beat Joshua, all of them guys, plus got friends of those friends, came around Andy Ruiz, pumping him up, pumping his head up, saying that he can do that, saying Joshua was trash, saying he was a robot, saying he couldn't fight, saying he couldn't box. Guess what? Andy Ruiz ate all that shit up, because what did he say? He said Anthony Joshua couldn't fight, he couldn't box, he was a robot, and he said everything I believe that someone else coached him and pumped his head up by saying, right? Well, when he, in all this time, it was demotivating him not to work as hard. Himself was coming disarmed, was coming lazy, complacent. Dude, I got $7 million. Probably I got about 4.2 after I pay everybody off. But dude, I'm a millionaire. What do you want? What do you want me to buy for you? You want a party? You want Corona? ¿Te gusta Corona? Extra? Right? Things like that. He was doing those type of things. And Manny Robles, that was close to him, that knew, hey, this guy went from I'm broke, I'm starving, please give me a fight, Eddie Hearn, to getting that fight and winning that fight to, hey, you can barely see this guy in the gym. Where the hell is he? Where's Ruiz? Right? Nobody knew. And in Manny Robles look, he has nothing to hide now. Again, this isn't bad-mouthing him. I think, again, this is one of those situations where Manny Robles is just saying it like, hey, this is what he did with me. This is similar to what he did with Abel Sanchez. So if he does that with Eddie Reynoso, right? They say third time's a charm. I hope so. But third time's a charm regarding what? Right? Because that can mean a lot of things. Third time's a charm that people know, hey, you're full of shit, that you lack desire because you got too much money, and he got twice as much money when he lost against Joshua, so he still has more money, so he probably cleared about, instead of 4.1, he probably cleared about 8.2, right? So now he's really up there, right? He turned down 2 classic fights with top 10 opponents, right? Dillian White, Luis Ortiz, right? He turned these fights down. So now he's with Reynoso. And I think these guys are doing that because it's an integrity thing. I think Manny Robles and Abel Sanchez are saying that because it's like, look, this is how he was with me. I'm not, and I don't think it's hatred. I think it's more like a situation where these guys are saying like, hey, this is how he was, so don't say I didn't tell you so. If you guys know what I mean. So I do think he was a different person. He was. He changed overnight. That guy that's been struggling to be this success, kind of like a person that sings. He finally gets that one-hit wonder, then boom! You got a lot of one-hit wonders. So Andy Ruiz has to prove he's not a one-hit wonder. He has to prove that he still wants it, right? You guys tell me what you think about Manny Robles' comments. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.